Hi Crafty friend, it's me, Justine Dvorak, over here on Stationery by Justine, where when I craft, my world stands still. Happy November! I'm so excited to show you this month's clubs and show you what I made with them. I'm going to be pulling in my collection Game Day that I made with Spellbinders last year, and I'm going to be pulling in fun elements from that, mainly because November is my birthday month, and I thought, why not pull in my collection and celebrate birthday themed cards on my birthday month with my collection. Might seem a little weird, but to me it made sense in my head. So the MVP bundle is about half off. So if you're interested, check out the link in the description. I'll link everything in a link deli, so that will be easy for you to find all the different products. I'm going to pull in other things from my craft room as well as clubs from this month. So are you ready to see what they are this month? Well, let's jump into it. Let's start out with the large die of the month. This one was one of my favorites. It has an alligator and it has a cute frog in a car, and then it has this border cutout where you can make an easy peasy shaker card, or you can make a scene with it. And this one is called Hooray, It's Your Birthday. There's also little gifts and a hat that you can add to your critters. And I really liked mixing and matching this one with the small die of the month, which we'll get into in just a minute. But I'm going to pop up on the screen 2 examples of cards that Spellbinders is using for their examples, so you can see those. But we have the stencil to talk about next. So this stencil is really cool. It's called Squared Away. I used this one and made a really cool basketball card with it. So I really liked the stencil, and I loved what Melanie did with it. So if you're interested, be sure to check out Melanie's channel so you can see what she did with it. And then the stamp and die of the month, you can get separate stamp and the die, is all sentiments, and it's full of things for birthday cards and also birthday tags. There's even a to from available there. And that one is called Confetti Wishes, which is what the month is named after. So this whole month is called Confetti Wishes for the collection. Then after that, we have the stitching die of the month. Now this one is really cool. This one's gonna live on my desk in my nested dies because it is a cross-stitch nested card front. So this one has lots of options. I go into it in this video. I'm going to show you how I stitched the tag, how I stitched the outside, in I think 5 different options for stitching. So stay tuned for that. Moving on to the 3D embossing folder. This one is called Rosette Burst. It is really fun and vibrant, and I used some lunar paste to really make this one and the regular one come to life. But we'll get into that in just a minute. The glimmer of the month is really pretty. It is confetti burst, so it is little pieces of confetti all over. You can do a double panel like they do in this card with this adorable turtle, or you can do a single panel, and I show using that glimmer plate a few different ways in this video coming up here. I used it as a background for kind of a pop-up moment, and then also for a shaker. I think I have 2 shakers with it actually. And then I have the rainbow confetti glimmer foil. That's what came in my kit. Sometimes the foil and the wax can be different depending on when you subscribe or whatnot and what they have in stock. But I had the rainbow confetti foil, and I loved how bright it was, and it worked so well with the glimmer plate. Then for the small die, like I said, they have the turtle and this adorable sloth in the small die. I think that's a great die set to have if you're just going to get 1 or 2 things from this month. I think that the small die would be a good one to grab because you can get the turtle and the sloth. Plus you can get balloons, and you can make the balloon fly away with the sloth or the turtle, or you can put that on anything, like even the packages or the alligator. So there's also the regular embossing folder of the month, and that one is really fun. It's kind of a lot of little like squiggly lines. This one's called Cascading Streamers. There we go. That sounds way better than flying around squiggly lines, but cascading streamers all over. And again, I used liner paste to make that one come to life. So stay tuned for that. We have a couple more things here before we jump into the cards. I have the BetterPress plate of the month. This one is called Paint the Town. Love it. It is paint swipes. You can make this really into anything. I pulled out Distress Oxides for this one, so be on the lookout for that. And then there's also some really nice birthday sentiments that go with that. Almost last, sorry, not quite last, there's the wax seal of the month, and this one says happy birthday to you. It is a square wax seal, which is super fun. I popped this one on a tag. Last but not least, there is the free item that comes when you grab the caboodle, which is when you grab all of it together. You get a discount for sure, but then you get this really cool bonus item that is called Party Time Cake, and it is so cute. I used it with some neon. I used it with some pattern paper coming up. So I really liked this little add-on or bonus item. Sorry, not add-on, bonus item. I liked it because I think this is one that if you needed a quick birthday card, you could easily whip out your die cutting machine, grab some scraps even, and make a very simple birthday cake card in no time. So enough chit chat. I know that this is going to be a long video, so I hope that you have a beverage, a snack, whatever, some coffee, and just get comfortable. I'm going to try something new this time where when I pop one of the new club items on the screen, I'm going to show the name of it. There's going to be a ding. If that bothers you, I'm so sorry. I'm trying something new today. So if it bothers you and you can't stand it, tell me in the comments. And also be on the lookout for your favorite card. I think I'm making 11 cards today. So find your favorite and let me know what it is in the comments. All right, let's get into the cards. Before I hoarded this gorgeous paper pack in my craft room forever, I pulled out a very special piece of paper. It's called Matte Metallic. So in this pack of paper, which is the treasured cardstock, it is seriously treasured, but I'm going to use the 3D embossing folder from this month, the Rosette Burst, to make that paper come to life. And it really did. Oh, so cool. I love the texture. I did end up spraying it with my Mighty Mister just because I think that is necessary. All right, I'm going to pull out my shaker domes, and then I'm also going to pull out my coordinating dies that go with the shaker domes and make sure that I have enough space for my shaker dome to live. Now, if I would have been thinking with my crafter brain, I would have remembered to die cut first and then use my embossing folder after, because it did flatten out my beautiful impression there. So I went ahead and battled with my embossing folder for a while and ended up re-pressing it with another piece because I could not get it to line up and I wasn't in the mood to sit and putz with it. But I will use that scrap for something else, so don't worry. I left the oops mistake in because I am not really someone who likes to edit out all of the mistakes, because I think it helps others feel like they can make mistakes too, which you are totally allowed to do that. There's no rules when you are creating. All right, I'm going to pop up my shaker dome onto my panel that I just made here. I'm using some double-sided tape. You could use liquid glue. I think that anything that would allow it to have a nice seal would be just fine. I would not recommend foam because this dome creates the popped up element for you already. Well, what I added in there was some shaker bits that were from Spellbinders. I think they are now discontinued, but they look like sprinkles. And then I used some sequins. So that was perfect for my shaker window. To me, it's important to use things from my craft room or from my stash, if you will, or shop my stash, because when you have things in your craft room and you don't use them, they aren't helping you make anything and they're just sitting there. And sometimes just having them there to look at is enough. But if you're going to invest your money into buying supplies, you might as well use them up, which is kind of what I like to do. So I'm going to finish this card later in the video, so you'll have to wait and see what else I do with this. But that shaker dome was easy peasy to assemble. Next, I'm going to use the embossing folder of the month. I'm going to spray my paper, and I'm going to use Clear Skies, which is the light blue, and then Midnight Snack, which is this blue. And I'm putting it directly onto the top part of the embossing folder. So that's the one side that has the Spellbinders logo printed into that. And I'm going to use this little spatula, I guess, to add it on to my panel here. Now I ended up having a little too much, so if you're going to recreate this and do this, just know that you might get some lunar paste on your die cutting machine, or to prevent that, I suppose you could wrap the whole thing in plastic wrap or whatever. I didn't really care. I could easily clean it, so that's fine. We'll come back to that card after that has dried. Now we're going to work with the stencil, and I'm going to make a basketball themed card. So I thought, let's take some Distress Oxides. I have Blueprint Sketch and the, what is that called? Something pumpkin, carved pumpkin. And then I have Manatee from Lawn Fun. So this is an ink. The other two are oxides, which is totally fine with me. I'm not blending the colors, so to me it does not really matter. I'm going to use my stamp wheel with the grid mat underneath and just stencil away. I find that the grid mat that's on top of the stencil or the stamp wheel is really the ticket for me for stenciling. There's no way that I can line up everything just using tape. I used to be able to do that, but I would get mistakes and things wouldn't line up, and I would get so frustrated because I would be stenciling over glimmer or over a stamp and I would have to re-glimmer or re-ink it, and I would get mad and I wouldn't like it. So I thought, I'll give it a try, and the stamp wheel has not disappointed me. So I do like it quite a lot. There's the black version with Memento ink. And we'll put on the fourth one. There's 5 different stencils, so I'm just going to use 4 because one of my color blocks is going to be white shapes. So I figured I'll just leave 1 white. But look how cool that is. You could even do just 2 or 3 of the stencils and you can get a really cool effect. But I figured with pulling in options from Game Day and using that bright orange is perfect for the basketball card. So I hope that you like it just as much as I do. Oh, that's so cool. So the little jersey there I made with the dies from the Game Day collection as well as the basketballs. And the stamp wheel is easy peasy to clean up. We'll get back to that once my ink has dried. I'm going to smear on some more lunar paste. This is the silver one. And I'm just going to use my finger and smush it on. Now this is the 3D embossing folder, so it is raised up quite a bit. Some of the spots go down into the paper, but it doesn't really matter to me. I think it dries pretty quickly even. So as that is drying, we're going to pivot and use the BetterPress, and we're going to glimmer it. Yes, we're going to glimmer it. It has those really cute sentiments. I'm going to glimmer some sentiments, and as I have my glimmer machine out, we're also going to glimmer with the glimmer of the month, because why not batch it up? Oh, look at how cool that is. Those paint swipes with the foil. I love that. I think that looks cool. Okay, I'm also going to use the same foil, Rainbow Confetti, for the glimmer one. And it is sped up. That's why my light is going so crazy. I'm going to use this gold. Oh, look at how pretty that is. Just gorgeous foil. I love it. This is going to also be for the glimmer. Ooh, I love that. That's going to make a perfect background for my turtle. And there's the gold. And there's some sentiments. I glimmered that with some white glimmer on black cardstock. I have a very good black cardstock for glimmer foiling, so if you're interested, check out that in the description. It is from Pajama Crafter Stamps. So let's move right along to the BetterPress. Now there are 4 paint swipes for the BetterPress of the month, but I'm going to repeat each one, so there will be 8 swipes. And the oxide colors I'm using are from Distress. So I'm going to have the Selvage Patina, which is kind of the teal color, Sponge Sugar, which is the pink, Shaded Lilac, the light purple, and then Saltwater Taffy, which is kind of like the peachy color that I have in my hand right now. So these are Distress products, which is really cool because I have matching watercolor pencils in the same color, and I'm going to pull out my watercolor pencils and pull out a BetterPress plate from my stash and make this card really pop. But you can see I'm using the registration template on this one, so it tells me exactly where to put my swipes, and I'm going to learn from my mistake here. I did not wipe off any extra, and I should have, but it's fine because it gets covered up with some more ink. So crisis averted, but just to warn you that it's going to get on my paper. Ready? See how it got kind of in the middle there? You even saw my hands go, what? But if you wipe it off before you throw it in the press, it is just fine. By the way, I'm using my 8.5-inch platinum with my BetterPress, and I do love having the big one for different projects, like if I have something hanging over the side or if I have a large die, I do like having the big option. So just something to note. All right, I'm going in with my Selvage Patina. Oh, this is such a beautiful color. This was one of the colors that I considered my craft room being painted, but I'm glad I went with my light purple instead, which is basically Shaded Lilac. I have Copic ink colors and Distress oxide colors on my brain all the time. So when I see them out and about, or when I'm reading books and I see colors like that, I'm like, oh, that's Saltwater Taffy. Does that relate to anyone else? I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit kooky, but that's fine. I love that light pink. It is so gorgeous. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that out. I think I originally said that I'm going to do each one twice. No, we're going to do that a couple more times. I'm just going to follow the registration template, so I think it's 3 times each color, except the purple I think is twice. But I really love how this card turns out. I think it is so soft, and to me, I was pressing this out and my color choices, I kind of showed my husband as I was working. I'm like, what do you think about this one? And he's like, oh, that's really soft, pastels. And I said, does it look like a Dixie cup? And he said yes. But he liked it anyway, so I thought that was kind of funny. But to me, it's giving Dixie cup. But don't worry, I turn around and make this look like a very elegant birthday card in the end. So there is hope. But I really do like that. I kept trying to put the wax seal on like everything, but I end up popping it on a tag for later. But this is a really cool BetterPress set for sure. Alrighty, let's press out some of the sentiments from the BetterPress. I'm going to use some of my BetterPress ink for this. I like to have these on hand when I am working with the clubs, especially because a lot of the clubs seem to be coordinating so well together. So I decided to use the apricot, and I thought it coordinated with that. I ended up not using that with this project, but it's just kind of a fun way to kind of play around with supplies when you have it all cut out and ready. So I'm going to go in with the stitching tag. So this is the smallest die from the stitching one. We're going to get real close and personal, and I'm going to show you how I stitch on the tag. It is a cross stitch, so if you're familiar with that, this should be pretty good for you. We're going to go up and down. I'm actually going to slow this down, so if it's too slow, I'm sorry, but just in case someone needs it slow. So this is slower than my regular speed. This is at 75% speed. So we're going to go from the top to the bottom, and we're going to make diagonal lines going down in a row. And this is making the little side of the X, and then we're going to go back the other way and complete the X. You could also do a stitch that is kind of like a blanket stitch going up and down. You can see the back looks like lines like that. So you can get creative with this. I'm going to show you a few different ways to stitch on the frames that go with this one. But you can see I'm just making those diagonal lines going up and down. I love the metallic thread with this. It is such a pop, and it looks really good with the lunar paste. So if you are interested in stitching and you have no idea where to start, I do have a stitching playlist on my channel called Stitching 101, where I talk about how to stitch, what you need to stitch, materials, stitching, different methods. So that is already ready for you on my channel, so you can check that out. I am going to be working on learning how to do the rosettes or some kind of like the flowers for embroidery. My mom has really gotten into doing things with wool, so that will be coming soon. When I say soon, I mean like in the next few months, but it will be coming eventually to my channel. So now that I have all the diagonal lines, I'm just making little X's, and this is basically making the crosses. So this is called cross stitching. Love it. I love the look of this little tag. There's a lot of little extra detail when you add stitching to elements on your projects. I think it looks extra special, and it feels very homemade, but also it feels so special. Like before I used to make cards, if I had to buy a greeting card, I would try to get something that had dimension or a bow or glitter or something kind of different and fun, because why not if you're celebrating something like a birthday or an anniversary. So I always get something like a papyrus card that has a little extra oomph to it. But now we can make our own cards, and nobody needs to go buy cards when you can make your own cards and spend twice as much. Anyway, I'm almost finished with this tag, and then to finish it off, I'm just going to tape the end like I taped the beginning. So that is basically how I stitched my little tag here. I did end up stitching or die cutting out the tag with the black glitter cardstock. You can kind of see it in the top right corner there. And I did not want all of the little holes to come out, so I ended up putting a piece of tape on the back of that black piece and then putting all the little holes back, which took me a while, but it was fine. And this is going to be kind of like a double tag for this little guy. All right, we're back to the sped up. I'm going to add on my wax seal right on top with some liquid glue. There's that little black tag right there. I'm just going to tape them together. It doesn't need to be serious. It's going to eventually be glued all together. But to secure them, I'm going to just do a basic knot. I always dive through the top and make a little loop. And then I'm going to end up adding a little bow to the tag. And anytime I add metallic thread like this to a project, I always glue the ends because they tend to unravel. So just add a tiny bit of glue and let my little reverse tweezers do the rest. All right, let's get into stitching this frame. I have my tail taped down. Let's get really close. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and do the cross stitch method here. I'm just going to show a little portion, so don't worry, I'm not going to show going all the way around. I think that took me maybe about 40 minutes to go all the way around and do the cross stitch on there. I do have another frame where I do a different stitch, so that's coming, but I think that would be quite a long time to show you. I ended up with about 8 hours of video footage here for this month's clubs. So we're trying to get it down to about an hour for video. All right, we're making the little X's. This is just like the little tag, but it's only one row of the crosses. So if you have any questions about really any card making or at all, but stitching, as you're watching this, let me know in the comments. I love to help people out. I'm making these videos to inspire, so I hope that I can help you. If you have a question, just pop it in the comments. All right, we're back to our Dixie Cup card. I'm using my watercolor pencils and I'm using the coordinating colors from Distress. So here is Salvage Patina, and this gorgeous flower duo is from a BetterPress set. I will have it linked in the link deli for you down below in the description, that is. And I am adding in the shaded lilac and the spun sugar to the other card. And it really doesn't have to be a serious watercolor moment. I'm just basically coloring where I feel like I want to add color, and then I'm just going to add some water. It's really not complicated on this project. I do have several videos on my channel with BetterPress and watercolor, BetterPressing and watercoloring with the pencils, BetterPressing and watercoloring with a palette. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I have videos for you. All right, let's jump back to the stitching. I know we're kind of getting whiplash, but this month I just kind of let my creative brain fly around, and I think that sometimes my brain just goes here and there and here and there, and that's just how I am. So that's how it is. There is a look at the cross stitch frame going all the way around. I love the look of that. I think it looks super cool. It adds a really nice texture, and the metallic gold thread from DMC is a win. So I'm going to show you the stitches here that are kind of like the options, if you will. So you know now the cross stitch method. Let's try another one. And this is called the back stitch. So I'm just going to stitch forward and then stitch back. And this is going to make a line of stitches. So you could make 2 lines, one in the center ring and one on the outer ring. And that would get you 2 back stitch frame pieces. And that would look really neat. With the gold thread, it is a little bit more of a bounce. So see how I'm holding the thread with my pointer and middle finger on the back, just to create some tension. That definitely helps from any kind of like bubble stitches, if you will. As long as you're keeping things tight, it should be fine. Now this frame looks a little skinnier than the teal one that I had, because I did take the coordinating die, the next nesting die, if you will, and I die cut the next one in. So this one is a very skinny little frame. So you have to be gentle. And this again is the matte metallic silver from that special treasured cardstock paper. Love, love, love that. They are treasured. Just like your handmade cards, they are treasured. All right, so there's the stitch that is just the straight stitch. So I'm going to end up taking these stitches out. This is just for showing you what you can do. So I'm going to skip a little bit on my area here and show you another stitch. So I'm going to go in the center and down the outside. And then this is going to make little zigzag lines on the back, but straight lines on the front. So this is just another way to use this die. I love how versatile some of the stitching things are. I think some of the possibilities are kind of endless and up to you for what you want to do and how you want to make your finished product look. But look at how cool that is. There's 2 ways. All right, let's do another way. Giving you a really good look. Another way is doing this, which is diagonal lines only. So you can go ahead and just do diagonal lines and not make the crosses. I do have one more way to show you how to make this die look even more interesting, but this is kind of a do your own thing. So this would fall into the freestyle category of stitching. You can go ahead and make a bigger X. So you're going to go ahead and make your X, and then you're going to go in this kind of zigzag motion. So I'm still making those diagonal lines, but do you see how it's kind of going zigzag? So you could do that going all the way around, like that. And then you can come back and make the other way with maybe a different thread. Or you can do, just stitch these, or you don't even have to stitch this. So if you're not interested in stitching, you don't even have to stitch this die. It can just be kind of a punched out piece of paper. So I do a project with that as well. So again, stay tuned. I feel like I say that way too much. All right, enough stitching. Let's get into shaker. I love my basketballs from the Basketball Game Day collection. So I'm going to go ahead and use this full panel shaker window. This one is from Waffle Flower. No, this one is not from Waffle Flower. This one was this from? Yes, this was from one of the gals at church. She gave these to me. I'm thinking these are a knockoff because I did not see a brand. She had these in a baggie, so honestly, who knows where they came from. But they did not have adhesive on the edges, so that's fine. But it did have that release on the front. So I'm just going to stuff this little shaker window with some pieces of sequins, and I have some black ones in there. I have some orange ones, and then I'm going to pop my basketballs in there. How fun is that? I thought about having some basketballs on the outside, but I thought, meh, let's put them all on the inside. Then I have these really odd little pieces of metal. I don't even know. They're like confetti, I guess. But they're from Dollar Tree, and I use the gold ones. I always like to use my bone folder to really secure the edges of my shaker elements. I think that is a good way to go, just in case you don't want anything leaking out of your shakers. Okay, so here is my stitched piece that I went all the way around on this one with my silver metallic. And this is going to go over the shaker window. And I feel like this gives such a finished look to the shakers. So I just kind of sat and played with that for way too long. And then I'm going to add on this sentiment. This one happened to be hanging out on my desk. This is from the fall collection that Spellbinders just put out last month in October. And it is glimmered with a little bit of foam. It looks awesome. Hope today is extra special. I think this is going to go to one of my former students who loves basketball, and I think I'll use this for a graduation card for her. I love when I have people in mind when I am making a card for them. It is just an extra joy to know that this is going to a specific person, and it makes my heart happy. I'll add some liquid glue to the center and pop it on a card base. Really smush those edges, make sure everything's good. Check my shaker. Yep, everything's moving around. No holes or leaks. Hooray. Love that card. All right, so let's do another one with a shaker frame. This one I'm not going to make into a shaker. Sorry, I'm going to make it into a pop-up frame. So I'm using this very skinny foam tape, and I'm going to put it over this glimmered section right onto my card base, and this creates a popped up frame for my scene. And my scene is going to be a floating turtle. I'm going to use the Hooray from the BetterPress, and the turtle is from the small die. Remember, you get the turtle and the sloth. So on this card, I'm going to use 3 white balloons. I die cut that out with some white glitter paper. And the shell, I made glitter as well, and the body of the turtle, because why not have a sparkly turtle? So as my turtle is drying with my reverse tweezers, I will assemble the background. I'm going to pop on 1 big cloud and then 2 little clouds. I die cut those out with my scrap of my gold foil paper, gold mirror cardstock, I guess is the right way to say it. I do not throw away any of the mirror cardstock of any color, because even the littlest scrap you can use for adding like a belt buckle on something or a shiny part of a wheel on a tire. I really am stingy about hoarding those. And now I'm going to add some silly eyeballs, because life is too short to not have a smile on your face. So I'm going to add some funny eyeballs from the Monster Eye pack from Spellbinders. And I'm also going to add these little extra stars that were die cut out from the cloud, just as extra shine and sparkle. I love my silly eyeballs. All right, back to this card from the beginning. I have dried that lunar paste, and I've pulled out a few pattern paper pieces from my stash. I added a little bit of a scrap onto the bottom of the tag there, and then I will just adhere my panel onto my card front, add the tag directly on to my project, and use my scissors to weight it down. Then for this sentiment, I have doubled up the thickness, so I die cut it out 2 times with 2 different layers of paper and got a really cool popped up area. Speaking of popped up, I have now used the shaker, the stitching dies to use on this card. I have the teal, the white, and my BetterPress area. I have my flowers all dry, and then the sentiment that says "It's your birthday," I just fussy cut out to separate the "It's your" from the birthday, so I could fit it to where I wanted it on my card. I always think that is a good way to make the sentiments work for you and not have it the other way around. Now for this card, back to my stencil. Now that that is dried, we're going to pop up the jersey with a wobbler. Love a wobbler moment. It wobbles and it's so cool. I'm going to slow the video down so you can really get the effect in just a minute when the card is finished. But I'm going to add the basketballs, and then the little yay is from the stamp set of the month. So let's watch it wibble, wibble wobble. Look how fun that is. Like I said, life is too short to not have a smile on your face, and you give someone a wobbler card, they're gonna smile. Guaranteed. I could not stop using the wobblers, so we're gonna add a wobbler to this stitched number 9. And you guessed it, I have someone in mind for this card too, who's turning 9 this spring. So this card is going to be for her, and I have stitched that little 9 up. I did that off camera because I have stitched the numbers before. So if you're interested, check out the playlist on my channel. But the Hooray, It's Your Special Day, I also added a few layers and really beefed up those sentiments by adding extra layers on the back. And then we're going to bling it up with some little gems and have a sparkly number 9. Love that card. Speaking of wobblers, this is also going to be a wobbler bowling card. I have my bowling shirt ready to go for my wobbler. Good thing I didn't press it down too hard because I ended up not liking the placement of this. So we're going to take it off and turn around. We're going to turn the card around. There we go. And then pop my bowling ball and bowling pins there. I have made the bowling ball bowling ball out of white cardstock, and then I used my Copic markers and just added a little zhuzh with coloring my bowling balls. Then for the sentiment, I'm going to pull out the stamp set. I popped them on the screen there so you can get another good look at all of the goodies they have there. And I'm just going to emboss it with some white embossing powder. Use the coordinating die, and ta-da, it is all ready to go. Ready for a bowler. That was sped up so the wobbler doesn't look like it should have there. It was like sped up times 6. But I do have a very good end video at the very, very end of the wobblers in a good time. So that's that. Here's my little party time card. And then we have the alligator and turtle card. This one I think might be one of my favorites. I love how silly it is. Just wait, the silly factor is just bumped up and up and up as we go here. So I'm going to assemble the alligator, which is super easy with 3 pieces. The teeth, the body, and then the spine. I'm going to give him a cute little hat, but we won't put the hat on until the very end because we're going to pop some fun eyeballs onto my alligator and my turtle. So I don't want to have the hat interact with the eyes, so we'll just wait. Pop my little ribbon on my gift box. And then for the Leaning Tower of Pisa, Leaning Tower of Birthday, we're going to call it because it's not just that. I'm going to add a cake. And so I got the little candles from the bonus item, and then I assembled the candle and put it on the cake just kind of to see. And one was just not enough. I have a special little guy in mind who's turning 5. Is he turning 5 or 6? I remembered at the time of this video because I put the right amount of candles on the cake, but now I'm drawing a blank. He's turning 5. Yes, 5. Time is flying way too fast. These kids are growing up. But I have a special little guy in mind who's turning 5, and this is going to be his birthday card. So I figured orange and green would be perfect for a birthday card for him. So yes, we have an alligator, a turtle, birthday presents, and a cake, all making a leaning tower. It might be a bit much, but I do love how this card turns out. You might notice on the turtle shell, there's some kind of texture in the top part of this cake. I used a pattern paper from Hobby Lobby. It is the watercolor one. And of course I had to make the candles kind of wonky because this is a wonky card, you know? And then the die cut sentiment of party time was perfect here. I just popped that up with some foam. Reposition it and add on the cute little hat to my alligator. We'll stick it there, and then let's get silly and pop up some eyeballs. I added some glue, even though these eyes are already sticky. Because they're going onto not a flat surface, I figured might as well put a little glue on there. It's just going to a little boy. Guaranteed he's going to touch the eyeballs because, you know, that's life. So I added a little glue just to be careful. And I love the eyes. I think this really makes this even more fun and playful and perfect for a little boy birthday card. Oh, I just think it's adorable. Now, everybody likes sparkle, even little boys. So I'm going to pull out some rainbow confetti enamel dots from Trinity Stamps. These are from my stash. I'm going to get some green ones and make that space on the left look fuller than it did before, but not as full as the right side with all of the presents and a turtle and all of that. But just adding a little embellishment, I think, kind of finished off the card nicely. But that is stinking cute. All right, now this card takes a turn. So, pardon the pun with the car, but this is going to take a turn. I went ahead with some gray, I think it's called fog cardstock from Spellbinders. I'm going to die cut that out with the little window that comes with the large die. My thoughts for this were to create a scene for my little frog to be driving his car. And I put the grass down. I even had this special pattern paper that I had in my stash of some clouds. And then I put it on and made this background scene. Sounds all cute and dandy, but then I thought, wait a minute, is a frog going to be driving a car on the grass? No. He needed a road. So after assembling all of this, I just put it off to the side for a different day, a different project. Who knows, I might put a turtle on it eventually, but this turtle, or this frog, needed a road, so I'm going to make a road for him. But before we do, let's finish making this car. So I have the background piece cut out in white. I added a little bit of red and yellow to the light area. And then I'll put on this red piece to create the actual car. You could die cut this out in any color you want, and this could be like a sparkly purple car. You could make a dark blue car. You could make anything you want. So I think that this is super customizable and really playful. You could even make just a car card with no animal driving. So this is a great set to have on hand for kids cards or people who like cars. If you have someone in your life who likes cars, you could make a car card. I added the cheeks on. I don't love the green cheeks personally. I think I should have done some kind of a light pink, but it's fine. It's fine. Everyone in the car is fine, Stanley. And let's just put that frog off to the side and make the background for him, and then we'll come back with some fun eyeballs. So I took the clouds that I was originally going to use, took a piece of yellow scrap paper and punched out with a circle punch that I had in my collection already, and popped out a little sun. Now I'm going to take some black cardstock, and this is about 1 inch wide, 1 inch by 5.5, and I am going to take some white scraps that I have on hand, use my little mini trimmer from Tim Holtz, and make white little rectangles. Now I used my grid mat to make them about 1 inch wide, and then just snapped them on my trimmer here to make little lines for the road. It wasn't too, this wasn't too difficult for me, but I could see some people getting really into the dimensions of it all. If that really bothers you, I'm sorry, but I'm making a wonky road. These lines are not going to be straight because, frankly, I'm not the person to make a road that's straight or take the time to do it. To me, it's a fun, silly birthday card, so it does not need to be perfecto. So I'm just going to snip off the edges. And then I thought about having the road up, but then that looked weird. I thought it needed something else in the background. Maybe some grass, maybe a mountain. I don't know. I was really thinking way too hard about this. Then I found a really pretty green pattern paper scrap. I'm pretty sure I really tried to use that green there, but I didn't want the green to pull away from the frog. So I ended up with this pattern paper and this die that creates kind of like these little bumpies, and I think that could have been a road, but to me it looks more like shrubbery. So I'm going to die cut this out with my little scout, and that will get me a little bush for my frog to be driving along. And it ends up being super sweet. Look at that. Anything extra there, I will just trim off. So I'll put it onto my card. Yes, that's it. That's the ticket. I'm going to do it. I'm also going to pop up my frog, and I thought about changing the color. You guys, I was second guessing myself terribly, but I just went with it. So we're going to pop up the frog with some foam adhesive. These were some extra little bits that I happen to have in my craft room. And then we're also going to pop up the little cloud. Does anyone else just find foam in their craft room and wonder, where did this come from? Because I did with these little pieces. They might have come from the gal at church. So sweet. I love when people give me random craft supplies and they're like, oh, here, crafter, here you go. And I think it's really sweet, and it's kind of fun to see like what they decided to get rid of, because sometimes you can take trash and turn it into treasure. At least I try not to hoard it forever. But one man's trash is another man's treasure. The sentiment on here I have popped up as well, and then I'm going to send this cloth off the edge of the card. I think that helps create the scene of it all by letting the card go off the edge. So we're going to trim off that cloud and also trim off the sun. Here's a little tip for doing that. Start with your edge that has no cuts. So that road was straight, and so all the other edges that I cut here are also going to be straight because I started with one side that was smooth. Or you can just take your Spellbinders, shears, or scissors, or whatever you've got and just trim it off. It's really, I don't know, to me it looks like a more finished card, and not so like placed in just the right spot. It's like perfectly imperfect. So I will add some double-sided adhesive and put this on a card, and that will be the finished card. This is again with the large die. But let's go back to the small die. Those eyeballs are so silly, I can't even. Okay, the small die, the sloth. This one was my last card for this month, and you can see I did not stitch the frame. Yes, I used the stitching dies from this month, and I did not stitch. I wanted to show you that you can make something really cool and you don't have to stitch. So if you are holding back from getting the caboodle because you think, well, I'm not going to waste my money on getting something I'm not going to use, the nesting dies from this month are worth it, even if you're not a stitcher, because look, you can make really pretty things and you don't even have to stitch. But I'm telling you, once you start stitching, you're not going to want to stop, because it is a very relaxing hobby. Now on my turtle card, I ended up using 3 balloons. On this one, I did 6 balloons because I really wanted it to look full. And if you know anything about sloths, they are kind of like big and clunky. I mean, they're like the size of a medium-sized dog. So to get a medium-sized dog to fly up into the air, you would need more than 3 balloons, in my opinion. But again, this is card making, so if you want to use just 3, you go for it, because there are no rules. There's no rules in card making. So I went ahead and added on his little face, made him some rosy cheeks with some Copic R20, which is my favorite color for making rosy cheeks. And we're going to just place everything out. I don't want it to be hanging off of the end of the card. So make sure my balloons are all set. Then I'm going to assemble them on. Now I'm using sparkly, glittery cardstock for the gold. This cardstock is bumpy. So sometimes a liquid glue needs more than just a second or two to adhere to it. So I'm going to put these together, and then we're not going to bump them because they're going to be messy otherwise. And we'll work on the clouds and the background. Double take, double check, make sure everything fits. Yes. And that little hat is so cute for the sloth. I don't know. I think that anytime you can add like a little party hat or something onto things, it is automatically birthday. One more balloon, because why not? Told you those balloons are not gonna stay. Quit touching them, girl. I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen, and we'll move on. Okay, again, focusing on the background. Have my little gray clouds off to the side. I used all sorts of scraps to die cut these out. I love using my scraps. It is so satisfying to sit down, die cut out something, and then end up with a bunch of completely garbage scraps, like at the very end when there is nothing else you could ever die cut on them. I love that look. It is very satisfying. We'll slide the balloons underneath the sloth head before that dries. Super smart to think about that beforehand, Justine. Haha. Anyway, no fear, it worked. It's fine. And then we're going to add fun eyeballs to this sloth. Not too silly because I don't want it to be like crazy silly, but you know, I have to be a little goofy because that's just my personality. So we're going to add 2 eyeballs. No, they're not the same size. I know that. That was intentional, and that's going to be fine. We'll add the birthday hat, and then this sentiment, yay, I used gold embossing powder from the stamp set and made a fun little yay. A birthday card does not have to say happy birthday on it. It can say yay or hooray, and it does not need to say happy birthday. Just like a sympathy card does not need to say with sympathy. It could say something like, in my thoughts and prayers, deepest condolences, etc. So to me it works. All right, I'm going to pull out these dimensional dots. These ones are from Spellbinders in the teal topaz teal. Hello, dyslexia here. And I will just pop these right on to my card. Do you notice that they match the paper perfectly? Huh. Well, that's because I'm using Spellbinders paper that match the color of these dots. Genius that they thought to make that a product. Oh, so cute. I love a close-up moment. All right, let's take a look back and look at all of the cards. Please let me know your favorite in the comments, and I would love to see what you like. And tell me what you're subscribed to. I'm always curious to know, are you a glimmer person, a stitch person, a wax seal gal, a large die guy? Who are you? What do you like? What you buying? What are you interested in this month? And then also let me know if you have the game day collection, because it is kind of my first collection that I ever put out with any company. I will always have that special in my heart, and I will always continue to pull for it because I love it, simply put. So if you've got the game day collection, I would love to know in the comments. Let me know. And there's tons of inspiration on my channel about the game day collection. So I have like a video hop even with other creators that I did. And I have a video where I show how to put every single die together from the set. So if you want to know how to assemble the hockey stick, how to put together a football jersey, I have it all on my channel. So I will link that playlist in the description of this video, as well as a link to all the products I used today. So if you're interested in checking any of that out, do use the links below. That definitely helps my channel and it helps me in my crafting journey. It costs you nothing extra. It just tells whatever company you're buying from that Justine sent you their way, and then they give me back a little commission. But I mean, it's nothing crazy. Let's just be real. It's just a little something, a little cherry on top, if you will. So I really do appreciate those little cherries though. So thank you if you have used my links in the past, and thank you if you're going to use my links in the future. Oh, what a fun little bowling card that is. This makes me want to go bowling. By the way, I'm not a good bowler, but I love it. I think it is so fun, low stakes. Anyway, I really appreciate you watching this video all the way through. We're almost at an hour, so I appreciate your time as well. Whatever you make with this collection, I would love to see on my Facebook group that is called Stationery Maker Group. I have that linked in the description as well as other ways you can kind of connect with me on social media. So share your cards with me over on that group, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye, crafty friend.